When a candidate runs for president, all aspects of his life and family come under the spotlight. And John McCain's family tree has some interesting roots. That's what the Wall Street Journal's Douglas Blackman found when he went to Mississippi. And in short, he found the African-American McCain's. Take a listen.
It was a family of McCain's who resisted the Ku Klux Klan, led the civil rights movement and voter registration efforts in the 1960s, who integrated public schools and changed this part of Mississippi forever. Those McCain's are African-American descendants of the slaves owned 150 years ago by the white ancestors of Senator John McCain.
Daddy was very active in the civil rights movement. Mama used to be up, always concerned as to whether he was going to come back, concerned if he was going to be okay.
Well, joining me now, Wall Street Journal Atlanta Bureau Chief Douglas Blackman, and in Detroit, Lily McCain. She's a descendant of slaves owned by John McCain's ancestors. Great to have you both. Let's start with this story. I mean, how did you get onto this? How did you find out about it? Did you believe it when you first heard about it?
Well, I wrote a book that came out a few months ago that was about the early 20th century treatment of African Americans, and a reader of that book emailed me a few weeks back and suggested that I take a look into the background of Senator McCain's family. And that got me curious about whether there were living descendants, black McCain's today, and what their perspective would be on this historic election at this particular moment in time.
All right, we're going to talk about that in a minute. But Lily, I want to get straight to you and just ask you, have you ever met Senator John McCain? And if not, I know you've met his brother. Yes. Tell me what that relationship is like, what you do together. Do you see each other on a regular basis?
We've had the pleasure of meeting Joe McCain, and he attends the reunions at TEOC. The families come together every other year. We were together July 24th this year. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend that reunion, but attended 2 years ago, and it was certainly my pleasure to have met him. He was very cordial, warm, extrovert. He's really an energized personality, Joe McCain I speak of. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting Senator McCain.
Do you think it could make a difference with regard to diversity issues of race, if John McCain did participate?
I think it probably could. It would give him an opportunity to know us. I emailed him back in 2000 to remind him of his ties to TEOC, Mississippi. I heard him say on, I believe it was Meet the Press, that his ancestors owned no slaves. Well, I certainly have carried the name McCain from the beginning of my life, and I've known of the ties to John McCain, and tried to get him to communicate with me about that, but he has been unwilling, at least to date.
Well, he actually found out in 2000, to be fair to the senator there, and he did come forward and gave this quote, how the TEOC descendants have served their community and by extension to their country is a testament to the power of family love, compassion, and the human spirit. And then he added in the statement, an example for all citizens. But Doug, why doesn't he acknowledge this more and visit with the family members and take part in these reunions when his brother does?
Well, the McCain campaign told me when I talked to them about this that he hasn't been to any of the family reunions simply because of scheduling conflicts, that there's not a decision not to do that. But the important thing to me about this story is that it's not about whether the fact that his family owned slaves 150 years ago says something about John McCain today. What this is really a story about is the triumphal way in which the black McCains, who descended from slavery, have achieved so much over the last generations, fighting off the Ku Klux Klan, integrating the schools in this place in Mississippi where things were really tough for a very long time. Lily McCain and her siblings are just tremendous people. And so these are the kinds of folks who changed America, but also the way that the white McCains have broken from that legacy as well. Without both of those things happening, we wouldn't be having the historic events we're seeing this year.
Well, interesting, as we look at the family tree here, the black McCains, the white McCains. Lily, do you I mean, from the history that you know and what you've been able to find out through family members, originally the black McCains and the white McCains, what do you think the black McCains took away from the white McCains years and years ago, if anything? Was there some sort of relationship or influence that led the black McCains to be such civil rights activists, strong people, doing amazing things for the black culture, as Doug has mentioned?
Maybe that sense of determination to not only develop our potentials, but to somehow contribute to the stability and the growth of this country. My father was a World War II veteran. My brother served in the military. I served in the military, as did my sister. And as was mentioned earlier, and we are so indebted to Douglas Blackman for having conducted the research to complete the history and bring this to revelation. Now, it was so important for us to just do what we're capable of doing to make a difference. The civil rights era, as Doug mentioned, I was involved in marches and so forth, and did in fact graduate from J.Z. George High School, one of the first African Americans to have graduated back in 1969.
Well, you definitely have an amazing family, Lily, that's for sure. Doug, is there a biological connection, and have DNA tests ever been done between the families?
I don't know of any DNA tests, and I'm fairly confident there haven't been any, at least not as relate to
Lily says
Lily
no
McCain's
too.
family, right?
Okay.
It's certainly the case that it's the oral history of the African American McCains that they are related, going back to slavery times. The white McCains that I talked to generally said that if that's the case, they never knew that, and also say, does it really matter? That's a question that many readers of the story, many people listening right now probably are saying to themselves, does that matter? And there are a lot of different answers to that question.
Yeah.
Lily, go ahead.
Given the way that the slave masters interacted with the slaves, it would be uncommon that we are not biologically related. However, we are neither discounted nor are we ashamed as to whether that connection is real or not. The important thing, as was mentioned earlier, is that we have come so far in such a short period of time. When I consider that I am the 5th generation from slavery, that in fact my grandfather's grandfather was a slave, that is just tremendous that we in this country have come so far. So I'm just elated that we are able to celebrate together. The McCains in Greenwood have been willing to come forward with us, to reunion with us, and to just celebrate life, and we're just delighted.
Do you have a message to John McCain, Lily?
It would be, I think, a credit to him if he were willing to acknowledge the reality of the relationship that we hold. Realize that it's really not something that we're able to discount because he's failing to acknowledge it. Reality is reality. That's history. We've come to a point where people are able to be judged by the content of their character, as Dr. King said so long ago. And I am just so pleased to see us do that. And to have him come on board and operate in that way would be just tremendous. Well, I would have greater respect for him.
You and your family and what you've done, it's a tremendous honor to be associated. I think you give that name so much honor. Doug, you could have a pretty fascinating follow-up story.
Well, we'll see.
And we will continue. Douglas Blackman, Lily McCain, thanks so much for your time.
You're so welcome.